All America, all the time. Sit down, buckle up, and get ready for the Dan Bongino Show.
Man, didn't hear anything there. I was getting a little nervous. Thought like the technology broke down or something like that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Good Friday for the Christians around the world, me being one of them. It's a good day before we start the show to just stand back, take a really deep breath, clear your mind, and thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for the unimaginable sacrifice he made for all of us. I think it's really important that on a day like today, we all reflect a little bit on how much we think all of, our lives are so traumatic and stressful. Sometimes nothing compared to that. You haven't been crucified, whipped, had a crown of thorns on you, spit on, all of that by people you could snap your fingers and just wipe out in a second and just choose not to. By the way, did you ever read, if you want to take a moment, go to whatever AI generator you use or internet platform, doesn't really matter. You guys ever done this? This is everybody's job for today. Jasmine, you too. This is the part of the crucifixion story that I think a lot of people don't tell you. Folks, do you have any idea how painful crucifixion was? Now, the Romans knew this. You may say, yeah, of course it's painful. I mean, forget the nailing to the cross, even though if you were tied to it. The nailing's bad enough. But if you were tied to it, if you ever look this up, how you die from crucifixion, I want you guys to do, and ladies, if you can, do a little test for me. If you work out and, whatever, you don't have any medical limitations, go do like a dead hang from a bar and just like tilt your feet backwards, like your legs, like you arc yourself in a direction towards your back. That's what crucifixion does. It pulls you out forward so that you can't properly breathe. So what you would have to do is after your shoulders dislocate, which is unbelievably painful. You ever dislocate a shoulder? I did. It is, look at it. I'll show you. That's the zipper. You see the line? That's from when I dislocated my shoulder. I had to have open surgery to put that sucker back in the right way. You ever dislocate a shoulder? It's horrifying. Imagine both of them being dislocated. You're arched forward. You can't breathe. Your entire chest is constricted. So you're suffocating slowly while your bones are dislocating from the joints, and it happens over a prolonged period of time. It's where the word excruciating comes from. It is probably the most painful form of death, not just because the acute pain, but the chronic pain that it doesn't happen quickly. And Jesus picked that way. Oh, he didn't pick it. He was omnipotent and omniscient. He knew exactly what was going to happen. Just think about that for a moment when you're taking into account the suffering in your life, how it pales in comparison to what he chose. Even if you don't believe he was God, he existed. There's almost zero doubt about that amongst historians and others. I have zero doubt. People of faith don't. But the historical record, I think, is pretty clear. Crucifixion is an absolutely brutal way to die. I tell you to do that test for a second because I have really bad shoulders, so I'll do these dead hangs. And a couple of times I put my feet behind me and I kind of like hold my toe on the ground if I can touch the ground to make sure I'm arched in the wrong direction. In like 5 seconds, you panic because you can't breathe. Imagine that for hours at a time. Good Friday. Just little things to think about. I didn't really intend. That's your homework today. I didn't intend on starting the show. Jasmine, you too. Because it'll remind you of the great sacrifices of Jesus Christ. Look up crucifixion. Put in a chat thing, what happens when you're crucified? Oh, we got a big show for you today. Listen, obviously, big shakeup at DOJ last night. Folks, we're going to cover it fairly. I'm not going to get into all the emotions of this and all the personalities and people who are screaming on one side and the other side. I think if I'm a spreadsheets guy and we're going to judge what happened during the last year of former Attorney General Pam Bondi's tenure, then you got to take all this information into account. Correct? I'm a spreadsheets guy. I'm not changing for anyone. Is this a net present value the last year positive for her and her office, or is it not? Pretty simple stuff. Folks, today's show brought to you by our good friends at Birch Gold. To take advantage of the current buying opportunity for gold right now, Text my last name, Bongino, Bongino, to 989898. That is Birch Gold. They will help you check your options. Check them out. Text Bongino to 989898. Birch Gold. They'll help you check your gold options. Their message and data rates may apply. Thank you, Birch Gold. So, big shakeup at DOJ. I want to address a couple of points here. A couple of points I want to address. I want to start with one, the spreadsheets approach to life that I highly recommend for you. What I recommend you do when analyzing anything in politics is don't do what the left does and fall in love with personalities. I can't say this enough. By the way, me included, I did not expect to be judged on anything other than results. I gave you the results. I'm not going to give them again. I gave them on the first show. You can back and listen. I think the biggest mistake people in politics make is they over-explain themselves all the time. You either believe the results mattered and they were good, or you don't. Is how much I'm going to convince you otherwise. The DOJ, the FBI is a component of the DOJ. However, the DOJ has, as you know, many other components as well. ATF, DEA, BOP, others. So they're managing a big operation, including the FBI. We have to look at this in terms of spreadsheets when it comes to politicians. The left just falls in love. They fall in love with Barack Obama, with Bill Clinton. At one point, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And look what happened. It all fell apart. They fell in love with Mamdani in New York. It's always fallen apart because they fall in love with personalities. We should never do that. We should just look at a series of results, numbers, data, inputs, and produce an output. I saw a lot of commentary. I obviously worked with Pam for the last year, Attorney General Bondi for the last year. Folks, listen, it's not a secret. We didn't see eye to eye on every single thing. That's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. People disagree about stuff in Washington, D.C. all the time. About everything. What do you want? You want a cadre of robots in your administration? Yeah, man. They all just agree approvingly to everything you say. It's not a big deal. We had some disagreements on some stuff. It turned into something big news story over a weekend in July. But I'm going to tell you something. When you look at the results of this Department of Justice over the last year, just the pure numbers, I just wrote a couple of notes down. And by the way, this is not the complete full list. These are just some highlights of some of the things that actually happened. I'm not telling you what opinion to have or not on Attorney General Bondi. I'm just telling you the numbers. You pour it into your spreadsheet and then produce your own output. I'm not here to tell you how to think. The crime rate, one of the lowest in U.S. history. If you're running the Department of Justice and the crime rate is the lowest in U.S. history, then I think that tautologically sounds like you did the justice thing. The murder rate, lowest ever in U.S. history. Sounds kind of justicey to me. The first Antifa prosecutions for their terrorist acts on U.S. soil we've ever seen. Again, this stuff just happened. It's not disputable. You can dispute the relevance you give to it. I'm not telling you how to think, but these things happen. The violent crimes against children arrests, what we call VCAC in the FBI. We ran 2 huge operations where we rounded up hundreds and thousands of child predators. One was, you can look them up, by the way. Please don't take my word for it. I'm not ever going to ask you that. Fact check everything. That's how comfortable I am in telling you. These things happen. The operations were called Restoring Justice and Enduring Justice. I personally worked with her and the DAG, Todd Blanche, who's now the acting AG, on those. Hundreds of child predators locked up. Hundreds of children saved. These things happened. Would you rather have them released? I don't. I'm just giving you like the justicey stuff that happened. All right, I'm being a bit of a smartass about justicey, but you get the point. The counterintelligence arrests against Chinese spies were through the roof. They were up by double digits. A lot of these people had been in the country with suspicious Chinese Communist Party connections, bringing in agricultural poisons, things that could potentially be used as bioweapons. A lot of them were just sitting there in universities. The Biden administration was basically sitting around watching porn all day, doing nothing. Those arrests were up double digits. The terror disruptions, that bombing plot in Los Angeles, that cell that got taken down, the operation in Detroit, that cell that got taken down. The Comey arrests, the Comey indictment. Well, the judge, that's the judge is part of a separate branch of government, not in the executive. The Bolton arrest, the Letitia James indictment. Here's some others you may have forgotten about. The governor of New York, her staffer, that arrest. The Gavin Newsom chief of staff prosecution going on. The New Orleans mayor, the McCormick, the congresswoman from Florida. These were all, public corruption cases that happened in just the last year. What value you put on those is your call. I'm not here to tell you how to think. I'm just here to give you information free of a lot of the bullshit out there. Again, folks, there's no secret that, we had some disagreements on stuff. I'm just a small piece of that puzzle. This is not a catastrophe in Washington, D.C. Now, that's just a small sliver of what happened. But my personal feelings are that the biggest thing we did when it was summer heat, the violent crime initiative where we refocused the FBI, we worked with her and Todd on that to get the FBI more focused on violent criminals and to get them into local police departments clearing warrants. That had never been done before. That happened too in the last year under her DOJ. Folks, I'm going to tell you this too, and there's things I obviously can't talk about, and that's fine. That's the way it should be. I did not leave the administration like some others to become some anti-Trump asshole on the podcast circuit, making things up all the time. That's not what I do. You don't entrust me with a job and then I leave and then go shit all over everyone like I'm some kind of knight in shining armor. I'm not. I'm a guy who worked in the administration in a great job, an important job. I had the best experience of my life, and I was honored to be there. But if you're waiting for me to come out here and start shitting all over everyone, oh, look at me, I was so much better than everyone else, you got the wrong guy. But I am going to tell you this, that even for the nothing is happening crowd, which we'll address later, who are also the hidden knowledge people, amazing how they keep telling you nothing's happening. As it continues to happen, there is more stuff coming. I know, because I was involved in a lot of it. And when it happens, again, the nothing is happening people are just going to move on to another nothing is happening thing. However, the president does get to pick who he wants inside. If he was unhappy with some things, he got elected, not me, not Pam, not Cash, not Todd, not Christie, not Tulsi, Lutnick, no one. The president got elected, and he's allowed to pick the people he wants to work with going forward. However, they left friendly. The president, you think the president, you guys kind of have a good flavor for the president being in conservative politics. You guys in the audience, do you really think if the president was pissed, he wouldn't say it? No, he's definitely holding back. He holds back a lot, right, Andrew? President's kind of very he never tells you how he really feels. That's it. Andrew said it right. He definitely keeps his cards tight. It's like, hey, he did a great job. Moving on. Pam Bondi is a great American patriot, a loyal friend who faithfully serves my attorney general over the past year, did a tremendous job overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across the country. I wasn't even part of the show, but there's his Truth Social. If it was such a catastrophe, he'd tell you. However, again, I want to be clear-eyed about this too. Folks, I want to level set expectations with the audience, having experienced it on the inside. Working in the Justice Department, whether at the ATF, the DEA, the FBI, or at the Department of Justice itself, the justice system is contingent on variables the Justice Department doesn't control. We are not, and this is not a knock at all, I love our military, we're not the Department of War. The Department of War can make executive decisions from the commander-in-chief. He can make those decisions and have them implemented immediately. There's no judge that's going to restrain them on some foreign theater combat operation. Or they may try, but it's not going to work. The Department of Justice is dealing with variables completely out of their control, which is a separate branch of government, the judicial branch. If you have judges and grand jurors who want to nullify cases, and you have United States attorneys who were Biden-Obama loyalists who quit, it's not that easy. It's not an excuse, folks. It's just an explanation. We're interested in information, correct? It is not that easy to just go out and bring in lawyers like it would be to say, bring in a new person at a checkout counter in a supermarket. These are issues that are going to be ongoing no matter who takes that spot. I want to discuss some ups and downs of some potential replacements as well. People I've had experience with, it's not my choice. It's the president's choice. So it doesn't really matter what I think. However, I do know a lot of these people, and I think a lot of these folks would be a really good choice. So I'll give you those in a second, but I just want to make sure you don't leave the show without these two things in your head. These are the two issues that are going to remain going forward. Not that they can't be fixed, but I'm telling you they're going to take time. First, I just mentioned is the U.S. attorneys. The attorney general, whoever it is not on the ground prosecuting cases. It doesn't happen. The United States attorney for that specific district, whether it's EDNY, Eastern District of New York, Southern District of New York, District of Maryland, whatever it may be, the U.S. attorney in that district works for the attorney general and the DAG. And then that U.S. attorney has an assistant U.S. attorney who's going to prosecute those ground cases. You have to get all those people hired. You got to get those people through the Senate. You got to get those people vetted. It's taking a long time because a lot of former Democrat loyalists quit. Not an excuse, just an explanation. You do with that what you want. You can make a case of fair enough. Hey, maybe it should have happened faster. Fine, fair enough. Valid criticism. That is going to continue going forward. That problem. We got to get people in the door to prosecute these cases. The second problem is a continued issue with this jury nullification, especially in liberal areas of the country. I talk about it, semi-jokingly, but it's not funny. That idiot who threw the Subway sandwich at the police officer in D.C. or the agent, it was on camera. Grand jury was like, nah, we're not going to indict. I mean, it makes a joke if you can indict a ham sandwich, just not in liberal areas where you can't indict anyone for anything. That is out of their control. The DOJ can't force indict someone. That's to go through a grand jury. They can draw up a complaint, they can draw up an information, but when you go to a grand jury with an indictment, you need a true bill from the grand jurors. If they just say, it doesn't matter, it's from a Republican appointed AG, we're not going to indict anyone, then that's how the system works. That's garbage that they would do that, but that's how it works. It's what happened with Comey and James. So, do you guys want to talk about some potential replacements? I've got a good body of experience with these folks. This is just my opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to be fair with you because whose opinion matters again? Jasmine. Who's the only opinion that matters here? Yes, President Trump. That's it. I did not get elected president. So don't take this as like advice. Just take it as commentary on some people who've been floated out there already. Number one is the DAG, the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche. He is now acting. I have had nothing but great relationships with Todd. Everything we did with Todd, whether it was summer heat, restoring justice, enduring justice, CI cases, public corruption cases, I have had nothing but good dealings. I think Todd would be a great replacement. It's up to the president. He is ferociously loyal to the president. He defended the president. He left an extremely prestigious, well-paid position at a private law firm, knowing he was going to be targeted for the rest of his life by Democrat lunatics, and he did it anyway. There's his formal, it's a nice picture. You got to, my pictures, I don't like my picture. They gave me like 10 options. I'm like, yeah, whatever, that one. That's a good picture. There you go, Todd. Now, while we're on this topic, Todd is now the acting AG, but Todd Blanche was the DAG, the Deputy Attorney General. Folks, I'm going to tell you something from that past year. My humble opinion, IMHO, being the DAG, the Deputy Attorney General, where he just was a couple of days ago, is the best spot in DOJ. I think it's better than being the AG. The DAG runs everything. The AG is dealing with a whole bunch of issues and budgets and all that stuff, and they don't really get as deep in the weeds as you think. The DAG is running everything. The FBI reports to the DAG. The ATF reports to the DAG. Todd was the one on all of these cases making a lot of these decisions on things. The DAG, again, my humble opinion, is the best spot. I say that in relationship to this potential replacement. Say it was Todd Blanche and he becomes not just the acting, but the attorney general. Now you have an open DAG spot because Todd was the DAG. So now you've got the potential to bring in another ringer who's going to run the day-to-day. Who could that DAG be? Judge Jeanine. I'll get to that in a second. I don't know. There's a number of people. But you've got a number of people who could really go in there and tear it up too. The second talked about replacement that I think is getting a lot of tailwind behind him right now is Lee Zeldin. I've known Lee Zeldin for a very, very long time. Just a wonderful, high character, unbelievably principled human being. Nearly pulled off the upset of what, guys, like the decade in the New York governor's race, where by comparison, like here's Lee Zeldin. He's the EPA administrator now. Many of you know that. He's doing an amazing job. Had a presser yesterday about the microplastics problem in the environment, huge problem. He's been doing an incredible job. Lee was a congressman from, I think it was New York 1, which is the district I actually lived in growing up down there in Long Island. Lee was just an amazing guy as a U.S. representative. He was in New York State local politics, a military background. Lee Zeldin is a wonderful guy. Full disclosure, I campaigned for him just because I liked him. I flew up to New York and spoke at a fundraiser for him when he ran for governor. I think that's important to know. It has nothing to do with my opinion. I just like him. He's just a really good guy. He would be an amazing choice. And it's not that difficult to backfill the EPA spot. Again, it's up to the president to decide. I'm just giving you my opinion. These two guys would be pretty good selections. So take with that what you will, okay? Now, having said that, I've seen a lot of U.S. senators' names thrown around. They've been about 5 or 6 of them. My opinion, I think that's a terrible idea. We've got a really challenging election cycle coming up in the midterms just months away. The Senate board looks good, but not great. We really don't need any open seats right now. I think it's a huge mistake. Again, it's not up to me, it's up to the president. I don't think the president is going to seriously consider anyone from the Senate, given that he's politically very tactical, but that's his call. He may say, hey, this guy's a ringer, I'll take the shot. But you really don't want any open seats right now, taking any chances on some special election where you get some, Alabama result that we had years ago. So I don't think that's going to happen, but that's just a guess. The president didn't call me and tell me this. I just think tactically that would be a mistake right now. Let me give you a couple names, and one you haven't heard, but one you have. So I'll give you 2 more. And this is just my opinion. Judge Jeanine, I love Judge Jeanine. I worked with her. The summer heat violent crime crackdown that led to the lowest murder rate and crime rate in U.S. history, I want to be crystal clear, started in my conference room with Judge Jeanine. We were sitting there with the ADIC in charge of WFO, the assistant director in charge of the FBI, in charge of the Washington field office, and Jeanine came in, and the crime in D.C. was out of control. The president was pissed off about it. He said, clean this place up. We sat down. We went over broken windows policing. We went over how we were going to enforce UFAP warrants, unlawful flight against prosecution, how the FBI would expand that definition and get into that, how we would start clearing local warrants and working with the D.C. police where the jurisdiction's a little different. And look what happened. Judge Jeanine was one of the architects of that too. She is an incredibly good lawyer. She is exactly in person as she is on TV, and as she's no different. It's not a shtick. It's not an act. She's got the Trumpian, like, you want to know what she's thinking? Just ask her. She's never going to bullshit you, like, at all. She would be a great choice, I think, as either AG or the DAG. However, then you got to backfill the D.C. United States Attorney spot, which is critically important because that's where most of the public corruption cases wind up. So you got a problem there too. I'm going to throw a name out you haven't heard because it's probably never going to happen and would create another problem. Just got him through on the bench. However, is a guy I worked with who I thought was amazing and just has just a bulldog type mentality. I told him often when he was the PAYDAG, he was right behind Todd in the Department of Justice. Do you guys know Emil Bove? He's on the federal bench now. Again, that's probably not going to happen because they don't want to remove someone from the bench. I'm going to leave, and you got to get someone else. But Emil, I worked with him. I thought he was amazing. He is kind of like a quiet assassin. He just goes in and gets the job done. Not a lot of show, not a lot of flair. I think he's like a big CrossFitter, which doesn't have anything to do with legal skills, but I like the discipline. He was always drinking big bottles of water and stuff because he'd work out at like 5 a.m. But he's an absolute, just principled beast on this, and you're not going to meet anyone, more loyal to the Constitution. I'm just throwing that out. Just, again, my opinion. You take with it what you want. Folks, D.C. is a complicated place. It was the greatest experience of my life and the greatest honor of my life, and I'm proud to say I work with a lot of these people. I'm not telling anyone out there what to think. That's your job. You don't like Pam Bondi? You don't like Dan Bongino? You don't like Emil? You don't like Todd? You don't like Cash? It's obviously your right to do that. You paid us. You paid us. We worked for you. But I don't live my life like that. I try not to get into this Democrat emotions thing where you just get lost in people's emotions and you're like, I love this guy. He wears a cowboy hat on TV. Yeah, how does he vote? Well, he's only with us about 25% of the time. Well, I don't really give a shit if he wears a cowboy hat on TV. Why does that matter to me? And in case you think I've been inconsistent on this, ask the P1s in the chat how long I've been telling you this. My experience both running for office and in DC has taught me don't fall in love with people, me included. Fall in love with results. And the results over the past year, ladies and gentlemen, are indisputable. Could things have happened faster? Things can always happen faster. The problem is the Justice Department is not designed to work fast. It's not. Even the weaponization of it, where they used it and weaponized it to take out Donald Trump, happened over the course of time. Trust me, these Comey and these other folks, they would have, if they could have moved that along faster, they would have. But don't fall into the nothing is happening trap. Because when more things, not just things, I just told you things had happened. When more things start happening and the full body of work lays itself out over 4 years, I think a lot of you are going to have a far different opinion on this. And if you don't, that's fine too. It's your opinion. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and I want to get to just an amazing piece of good news that just popped. I hate teasers. Here's a hint. The jobs numbers that just came out Good Friday morning right now, were not just good, they were staggering. And it reflects what I told you yesterday about the ripple effects of artificial intelligence on productivity in the economy that you're seeing now and are only going to get better. Quick break. We'll get right back to that. This last year, your eyes may have been open to a lot of things, but there's one thing many found particularly disturbing. It's a lot of the infighting on the right. I think we all agree on these basic tenets, right? Freedom of speech, the right to life, you're darn right. The Second Amendment, supporting our military and our first responders and law enforcement. There is one company that's been fighting for our rights for a really long time. They're proud of it. They were doing it before it was popular to support faith, family, and God, and it's Patriot Mobile. They've been a supporter of this program and you from the very beginning. I love this company. Their service is amazing. Unlike other mobile providers, Patriot Mobile works on all 3 major networks. Their service is incredible. In fact, you can be on multiple networks on the same phone. More importantly, their customers enjoy priority service with the same or better quality as their old providers. Patriot Mobile's 100% US-based customer service team makes switching fast and easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Here's how you get Patriot Mobile service. Do yourself a favor. Go today to patriotmobile.com/Dan. Get a free month of service with the offer code Dan. This company's been fighting for the things we believe in proudly for over a decade. Let's thank them by making this switch today. Support companies in the parallel economy that support us. Times are going to get rough again. You're going to be dealing with all this cancel crap. God forbid we lose. Get on board now. patriotmobile.com/Dan. That's patriotmobile.com/Dan. Thank you, Patriot Mobile, for standing with us all this time. It's a little late for the bell. You guys totally missed it. I mean, you could have just pretend. Oh, is that what? There you go. Justin, that's very clever of you. Justin's talking about like ad dynamics and how the show works. So that actually wasn't late. He's right. By traditional metrics, that's when the bell should have been rung. That, though, folks in the chat, please take note. It is now 10:31 and 36 seconds. The show is live. Oh, no watch today. I forgot it. I have it sitting right there, too, and I missed it. But that is the latest bell we have ever did, right? No doubt. So what's the date? April 3rd? Everyone take a note. Judy, audience archivist Judy, just in case it comes up later, 10:31 and 40-something seconds into the show. So this happened this morning. Jobs numbers came out. The expectation was 60,000 jobs added, which would have been okay, not necessarily spectacular. You don't want to be losing jobs. That wasn't the number. That wasn't the number. It was a little bigger, not a smidge. Check this out.
The futures jump, and it is because this is one heck of a report, folks. Wow is right, Steve Moore. Non-farm jobs coming in 178,000 jobs. The expectation was 60,000, folks. The unemployment rate went down to 4.3%. The expectation was 4.4%. We didn't get a loss in manufacturing jobs. We got a hit of 15,000 manufacturing jobs. Private sector jobs, get this, folks, 186,000. 186,000. The estimate was for 70,000.
Again, do you see why I get so upset to the chagrin of many who just don't like the whole conversation about infighting and blackpilling and doom and gloom? Do you understand now why I get so upset as a spreadsheets guy? Folks, I'm just transactional. If you don't like it, that's okay. It's fine. This show may not be for you. You may look for, people who just talk in emotion and never bring facts and data. There's a room for that too. But these are hard numbers. These numbers are stunning. What is happening right now? The answer is very simple. I told you yesterday. You have President Trump deregulating a red tape heavy bureaucratic federal bureaucracy. In other words, telling business, we're going to get out of your way. I'll just give you one example from yesterday. There is a plan where your 401k right now from the Trump administration, this is just a small component of a massive cleaning out of government red tape to make your business run easier. They want your 401k to be able to invest in some of the same assets that states do and wealthy folks do. Private equity markets that would give your 401k the ability to both diversify and grow. Now, you're probably saying to yourself in the chat, that wasn't the rule before? No, the Biden and Obama administration hate free markets, and so do all Democrats. So they basically had this ambiguous gray area where technically you probably could invest in private equity with your 401k, but if you did, you were likely to be sued if you were the financial advisor. The Trump administration is trying to clear all that out. They're not forcing you to invest in anything. They're just telling you like, hey, the big boys make a lot of money on this stuff. Private equity markets, where they get the first shot at it. Now you're going to get a shot at it too. Of course, the Democrats are like, I can't believe it, because they just don't want you to make any money. That's one small thing of the thousands of things, from bullshit appliance regulations. Have a toilet bowl with this kind of water in the flusher. This is what he's done. He has deregulated massive amounts of the economy from unbelievable amounts of red tape that have cost you a fortune. Combine that with the implementation of not just AI, but computing power, the effects on healthcare, quantum mechanics, quantum computing, again, material sciences, medical advancements. Folks, this is just the beginning. Do you know how many people in law offices right now and service industry folks are saving hours and hours of time by just using AI. Yeah, there's going to be blips, no doubt. You're going to have hallucinations. The technology's new. It happens. The internet was new once. Used to have AOL where you would dial up. Remember the sound? That had some hiccups too. But this is filtering through the economy. So now you have, I'll give you just a quick example tying into the other one. This is the Trump effect. Why you have this economic jobs number that just blew people away. That, by the way, once this war concludes, you're going to see a jump, I think, even higher. Think about the financial advisor thing I just told you about. So now you've got financial advisors that can take your 401k and diversify it into not just ETFs and gold and crypto and other things, but they can also invest in private equity where the big boys make a lot of money. So now you're making a lot of money. And then the financial advisor, through the use of massive AI tools, he doesn't need 10 quants, 10 human beings doing quant mathematics. He can just use AI. So he saves a lot of money and he doesn't have to charge you as many fees. That's just a sliver of an example of what Donald Trump's administration has done 1,000 times over in every industry from petrochemicals to legal services. This is not an accident. This is not an accident. Again, it's why the doomers and gloomers are so freaking annoying. I just told you, don't put anyone on a pedestal. Do not worship politicians, appointees. Worship results. However, when the results happen, just be fair about it. We're all dying. The war is lost. The economy's crashing. Crime's running rampant. Everybody's dying from drug. None of that's actually happening. None of that. Folks, this is emanating from the same group of people. I don't harp on this endlessly, but I can't tell you enough, warn you enough, that the hallmark of a bullshitter is the hidden knowledge grift. Notice what we just did in the beginning of the show that I believe makes this show hopefully different. I discussed Attorney General Bondi leaving and did it without any emotion whatsoever on it, just giving you the data, crime rate, murder rate, CI arrest, the Antifa collars, first ones ever. Whether you think that matters or not, it's up to you. I told you we had some disagreements. It's fairly obvious. Happens in DC all the time. Fine. The hidden knowledge grifters out there, I've got a story. I know something about the murder of John Smith or whatever. I don't even want to introduce it because it brings emotion into it. Just keep it on the level. I've got information. Tune into the podcast tomorrow and I'm going to tell you. And then tomorrow they completely move on and never give you the answer. We just gave you numbers. When do they produce the numbers? I only bring this up because the hidden knowledge grifters are the exact same people who are the doomers. They go hand in hand. I've got hidden knowledge about problems in the Trump administration and why nothing is happening. Okay, say it. Well, I can't. I've got a data point. You got a data point? Really? Well, what is it? I don't know, but it's a data point. I know it's a data point. It's a data point. You going to tell us what the data point? I just gave you some data points. Economic jobs numbers, crime rate. I just gave you the data point. The hidden knowledge grift, they're the exact same grifters as the nothing is happening grifters. It's the same group of people. Because they're going to want you to vote for them in 2028, and their candidate's probably paying them off. And they're going to destroy the whole MAGA movement we built. That's all that's going on. I have not seen a better video exposing the hidden knowledge grift than this. Do you know Nick Freitas? Forgive me if I'm saying the name wrong. I've known about him for a long time. He has a video out there where he just nails the hidden knowledge grift. This is really, really well said. I don't even want to sum it up because it's best just said by him. But I want you to listen to every single word of this. Check this out.
If you really think there's this massive cabal of people working together, what you actually want to do is work with your sources and not reveal anything until you have sufficient information to make a good case. Because again, every time you leak a little bit of information here or a little bit of information there, you are letting the people you're investigating know that you're on to them, right? So if you really do believe you have a good case. If you really do believe that you're chasing things down in the way that it needs to be chased down, then why would you make the people you're investigating aware of all of that?
Guys, come on. Is that not? Thank you, Nick. I know something. There's a subject in the murder of John Smith. He lives near Mulberry Street in East Tuna Fish. Who is he? I'm not going to tell you. Now, why would they not tell you? Because they don't want to be sued. Because they know that anonymous subject with like the Rey Mysterio mask or whatever, that the anonymous subject, if you name him, will sue you because you're just making it up. Sometimes people are stupid enough actually to name people who they know didn't do it and then actually get sued. That's another story. Most people aren't. Tune in tomorrow. We'll narrow. They usually do this. We're going to narrow it down. You guys seen this one? We're getting close. Justin said it. We're getting close. It's not just Mulberry Street and East Tuna Fish. It's the south portion of Mulberry Street. Tomorrow, we're getting closer. It's not just Mulberry Street. We found out the subject may have moved. They got to change the story because you can't make it too close or else people will sue you too. Someone will like firebomb a house, some lunatic. They go, it's not just Mulberry Street. It's Tinfoil Cap Street too. Northwest corner. We're getting close. But they never actually name anyone. Do you get one, guys, ladies, once you see this, I promise you, you will never, ever unsee this. Once you see the hidden knowledge scam, you'll never unsee it. It's a data point. We're getting close. Tune in tomorrow. I know something. I know some information. That guy's lying to you about what happened to Joey Bag of Donuts. Okay, he's lying to you. I see this all the time with the clown class. That guy Trump appointed is lying to you about the Joey Bag of Donuts case. Really? Well, who did it then if that guy didn't do it? I don't know, but not that guy. So you're not actually producing anything. You're producing negative information that you don't believe this story. You believe in an alternate story with no ending. Oh, okay. I prefer a funnel that goes this way on information. Give me a body of facts. We'll find the subject once we weed out facts that are irrelevant to solving the case. You prefer it the other way. Start out with a conclusion and then messy it up with a bunch of totally unrelated facts. That's the mark of a moron. I'm going to skip the tweet. I want to get to this video, though, next. Folks, a very important appointment happened not that long ago. Again, this ties into the whole hidden knowledge, nothing is happening crowd. It's the same people. I'm going to come in and fix all this stuff because Donald Trump's not doing anything and his gatekeepers are keeping information from him. Whenever you hear that term, just laugh in these people's faces. Donald Trump has no problem whatsoever, even with a successful body of work. If he's not happy, moving on. That's his choice. He got elected, no one else. He's allowed to do that. Changes happen in administrations all the time. It's not a huge deal. People just love palace intrigue. The hidden knowledge grifters are also the nothing is happening grifters because they want you to believe they could do it better, despite never telling you what they would actually do. There was a very good appointment. Colin McDonald, who I worked with at DOJ, he is now in the DOJ overseeing the fraud portfolio, i.e. what happened in Minnesota, what's going on in California, the investigations going on all across the country. Vice President Vance is overseeing it from the White House. Colin McDonald is an excellent person to be looking at this, a really good principled guy. You're going to see his name a lot. But when Minnesota went down, that whole Nick Shirley fraud incident with the Leaning Center, Dan, it was a learning center. No, they spelt it wrong. They spelt it the Leaning Center in the Learning Center. Oh, Leering Center. I'm sorry, the Leering Center, even worse. When the Leering Center scandal happened, what happened with the nothing is happening grifters? They told you nothing is happening. And then when I pointed out that we had already made over 100 federal arrests on this before that even came out, they were like, well, nothing else is happening anywhere else. Okay, well, now the nothing that's supposed to not be happening somewhere else is now happening in California. So they'll just move on to something else they say isn't happening. Here, I always bring receipts. Here's a news report yesterday from a massive fraud crackdown in California that's been going on again a while. Another thing I told you, just because you didn't see it, didn't mean it wasn't happening. Check this out.
Federal law enforcement conducting raids across Southern California targeting alleged healthcare fraudsters. William Lajeunesse has more from Covina, California. That's just east of L.A. You've been on this story for a while. What happened?
Good morning, Dana. Yeah, this is the first takedown for the new White House Fraud Task Force. They arrested 2 owners of 2 hospices here in greater Los Angeles. They're accused of collectively stealing about $16 million from taxpayers. And this money was intended, right, for compassionate end-of-life care for the terminally ill. Here's some video we shot earlier today of the FBI making those arrests of a husband and wife, he a doctor, she a nurse, co-owners of the St. Francis Palliative Care Hospice in Glendale. And what they were doing was this, admitting people who were not qualified for hospice, but billed the government as if they were.
That's an FBI case that's been going on a long time. You're entitled to your own opinion. You're just not entitled to your own facts. Well, there should be more. There is more. What do you think this investigation is going to stop? I've already told you the federal government is limited by numbers. There's only at any given time in the field less than 10,000 FBI agents, more than that in agents, but actually working this stuff in the field. There are more cops in New York City, by far, close to 3 times as much. We have to rely on state and locals, too. You just don't have the personnel. And by the way, folks, I don't think you want the personnel. We don't need a federal police force. Do you really want a 200,000 person FBI? Or do you want to keep law enforcement where the FBI is doing the big stuff and then your state and local, your deputies and your sheriff, where you have that local accountability? That stuff kind of matters. I like the system the way it is. I don't want an all-powerful federal government, and neither do you. But it is good to oversee and take down the big dogs. That way you can coordinate with state, local, territorial, tribal. If you ever see SLTT in law enforcement documents, that's what it means. Here's Christopher Rufo talking about my citizen journalist theory, too, how you're going to see these people on X that may or may not call themselves journalists, but they're definitely exposing things. And my citizen journalist theory is this. It is going to get more and more difficult going forward for the Bernie Sanders and Zoran Mamdamis of the world. It is going to get really difficult for them to run on the effectiveness of big government programs as people on X who were not NBC News investigative reporters, who usually bullshit people anyway, but they can just go on Twitter with their 10 to 100 to 1 million followers. They can go on there and just expose this stuff every day. It is going to be impossible for Democrats moving forward to marry themselves to big government bureaucracy. Here's Rufo. This is insane. California's unemployment insurance system is such a disaster. Listen to this. It was sending hundreds of millions. You mean hundreds of thousands? No, hundreds of millions of dollars to prisoners, including at least 133 inmates on death row. And they'd assigned only 2 bureaucrats to oversee suspected fraud in the entire system. There's the article right there in City Journal. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Gavin Newsom's trying to run for president. How does he explain this? We've been cracking down on fraud with 2 people. What the hell are they doing? You got to remember at noon, California time, one of them's on lunch. You got one person overseeing hundreds of millions of dollars in fraudulent payments and unemployment payments? Good job, Gav. Argue that one as you're running for president. He said, he said he can't read. I mean, that's his thing. And, you pointed out he does have a 960 SAT. He's like proud of that. I don't really care what your SAT score is. Doesn't matter to me. Hey, look, I'm one of you with the hair gel. My favorite clip is where he's in front of this largely black audience and says, hey, I'm like you, like I'm not smart. Wait, what? What did you do? Huh? That just reeks to me of an elitist snob, like what we used to call in New York, like trying to be down. Look, you guys trying to be down, like he's a total fake. I'm stupid, just like you guys. Nah, I'm good. Yeah, we're good. You're just stupid on your own. Right? You're just stupid all on your own. You don't have to bring us into your stupid circle. Yes, good point. You don't have to run for president either. Here, we're in the nothing is happening cabinet drawer. I just showed you that other massive fraud arrest out in California. Great job out there. Here's another thing they'll tell you isn't happening that has been happening for a long time. It's a case I had some familiarity with too. There is a really, really dangerous gang in the United States. Many of you know about them, TDA, Tren de Aragua, Venezuelan origin gang. They're big presence, very dangerous, ruthless. So we decided it'd be a really good idea to crack down on them. President was tired of their bullshit. Like, go get them. Here's another case that's been going on for a long time. They were doing this thing, and this has 2 points, by the way, of playing this video. Point number 1 is be careful with your ATM card where you use it. That's kind of like just the Dan Bongino public service announcement for the day, and you'll see why in a second. Second, this thing called ATM jackpotting was millions of dollars were being used to finance this gang activity. There was a huge crackdown on this. I thought nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. Well, this happened too. Then they'll just move on to another nothing they think didn't happen. Check this out.
The FBI says that ATM jackpotting often happens at standalone ATMs and, in fact, often in rural areas. They say 700 ATMs have been hit just last year across the country to the tune of $20 million. They say that the hackers will basically pry open the face of the ATM, download malware onto the computer system, and tell it to spit out the cash. They say it's often done by an organized crime ring, and they say that they're taking advantage of some vulnerabilities when sometimes ATMs haven't had their software updated.
So what happened was some of the software system is outdated that allow malicious actors to open up the box to gain physical access to computer and inject malicious message communications into the ATM machine, telling it to hand out cash.
The FBI has now charged 93 people that they say are part of the Tren de Aragua, or TDA, foreign terrorist organization from Venezuela, for a massive wave of ATM jackpotting across the country.
Again, it doesn't matter. Nothing's happening. No, just put it back in a file drawer. It didn't happen. I just made that news story up. That's Justin acting. He's got a wig on. He's altered his voice to sound like a female. That's him with a blonde wig on or whatever color hair that lady had. That's not a real, we just made it up. It's AI. Nothing's happening. It's amazing how these things that are happening when nothing's happening. Folks, the hidden knowledge, nothing's happening grift is tiresome, okay? That's why this show is really popular and a lot of other shows. Because people get tired of hearing doom and gloom all the time when it's bullshit. People want to hear doom and gloom when it's doom and gloomy, so they know how to get out of it. They don't want to hear about doom and gloom when it's 75 degrees and sunny. They're not interested. Hey, it's raining. Actually, it's really sunny. It's not a cloud in the sky. I told you it's raining. I don't give a shit what you said. It's sunny out. Not all knowledge, however, is hidden. Sometimes these liberals actually out themselves and tell you things like this CNN clip I'm going to play in a minute. It's actually Brittany Hughes, Media Research Center. This is really good. Wow. B. Anderson, 530 in the chat. Damn, Justin, you're hot. Good. We're not a... That's like a total HR violation. B. Anderson's like, I don't work there. What are you going to do? Sue me? I'm not even touching that one. Not my bag of donuts. Not all knowledge is hidden. Sometimes people accidentally out themselves. I want to show you that in this clip. This was a Brittany Hughes clip. This is really good. So CNN does this piece, and they think they're being bumper sticker, coexist, tolerant, showing you the struggle of all these people who come to the country. The Mutleys. You're not allowed to put like 10 Mutleys up. It's not a thing. Guys, you got to like in the chat. You guys, this is your show too. The folks in the chat, the Bongino Army, you own the chat. It's yours. I only go in there a couple times to make some comments. There is no such thing as more than 5 Mutleys. It's just not allowed. I don't know what else to tell you. There's no more than 5 Mutleys. We got to be realistic on the Mutleys. That's probably a 2. It's probably a 2 Mutley. Now the Mutley's going, there you go. Now we're getting it right. We got a couple 1s, a couple 2s. Good job, folks in the chat. This clip is great because, again, it's CNN's effort to portray to you how people are coming here looking for asylum because they were facing persecution at home. And then the lady they use in the clip basically tells you that this isn't about asylum at all. Like, there was no persecution. There's no point where, like, she was going to be persecuted any place where this ever comes up. I love when they try to make a point and then make the opposite point. This is a great video. Check this out.
People like Cecilia Zhuk. She came from Guatemala with her husband and 2 kids. She tried to get to the United States and even had an asylum application appointment scheduled through the Customs and Border Protection app. Days into the new Trump administration, she says her application was canceled.
¿Quieres ir todavía a los Estados Unidos?
Estamos esperando que salga ese presidente. Sí,
Después de eso.
Después de eso
Y
vamos
no
a
antes.
intentar, no antes.
You know what I didn't see in that video? An asylum seeker. See, if you're puttering around your apartment making dinner, saying you're going to wait 3 years for a Democrat to be in office so you can cross the border illegally, you're not an asylum seeker. You're an illegal alien waiting for your moment.
Yes, at Real Brit Hughes, 2 T's. Go follow Media Research Center. Great job. At no point in that segment do they mention this mysterious political persecution. You're allowed to come to the United States legally through a port of entry following our procedures. It's not illegal. It's not a communist state. People get visas, green cards. They go through the process all the time. That's not what happened. These clips are fantastic. All you have to do with liberals is let liberals talk, and eventually they'll tell you who they are. Here's another one. Well, this guy's not a liberal. This guy's a Republican, but he's exposing a liberal. There's a state senator from New York, Rob Ort, O-R-T-T, I believe. This tweet is super important because it describes a problem I have been hammering on this show forever. I get this question all the time. Why do Democrats want open borders, knowing that it's going to cost them elections? And I say to people in the most annoying voice possible, what's the most annoying sound in the world? That one. Or the elevator thing when you hold the door open. Very annoying. I say, you're looking at this all wrong. Open borders may cost them short-term elections, but long-term open borders are the only way to engage in what they call replacement theory and demographic destiny. Here's the tweet, Senator Ort, O-R-T-T, New York State. New York City politicians want New York State to spend $40 million to count illegal immigrants in the 2030 census. Do you believe it, fellas? Is that incredible? They want Justin's stunned. He's like, wait, haven't you been talking about this forever? Why? He notes it's a brazen political power grab, and they want you to pay for it. They're trying to stack the deck to boost their ranks in the House. That's it. Senator Ort, you are correct. However, oh, look at that. Man, I forgot about this one. I know I'm being a wise ass, but you know the left, whenever you mention this, by the way, the left goes, you guys are definitely racist with your replacement theory. Here is the, air quotes, racist New York Times. We can replace them by Michelle Gober. It's an actual article. I thought it was racist to talk about that. It's literally the title. We can replace them. We had that video too. We played on the show with was it New York City or New York State lawmaker? It was a congresswoman, I believe. It was from a couple years ago. I should have thought of this yesterday. She's actually saying, hey, we need these illegals in my district because people are moving out of New York and I may lose my seat. This is their thing. They talk about it all the time. Just go in, I don't even care, go in a left-wing search site like Google and put in Democrats, demographic destiny and look it up yourself. They talk about this all the time. The House of Representatives, for the Democrats who are illiterate out there and liberals who don't understand how our politics work or basic civics, the legislative branch has the Senate side independent of population, correct? Every state from Wyoming to California gets 2 senators. I'm sorry, Republicans, I know you know this. There are liberals who are astounded by this. The other side, in our basic federalism model, there are states with a bigger population who should get a bigger say on one side of our 2-sided legislative branch. That is the House of Representatives. You get a congressman for roughly every 700,000 people. California has, close to 50. Florida just got a few more. Why does that matter? Senator or just told you. Because as people move out of your congressional district, and like that lawmaker in New York openly said, it's not hidden knowledge, he's talking about it, I may lose my seat because they'll wipe out my district because everybody's leaving New York. Well, how do you fix that? Put up the tweet again? Oh, yeah. You spend $40 million to count illegals in the census to replace the people you lost, to keep your seats. They're openly talking about it. This senator's a Republican. He's the one exposing it. He's the good guy. And not only that, the Electoral College that elects the president is based on two things. The number of House of Representatives member each state has, plus the two senators. So not only does it help you hold Democrat congressmen to replace them with illegals, the people who leave your state, who are evacuating blue states, it also helps you hold electoral power in the presidential race too. What a coincidence. I've told you, man, sometimes they just tell you. While we're on the topic of elections too, please, in the name of everything that's important, please do not forfeit the midterms to the doom and gloom class. I'm not telling you it's not going to be a challenge. I'm just telling you when you look at the data, and I'm going to play a short video for you coming up next, going to take a short break. I'm going to play a short video for you from a CNN pollster, a guy we use often, Harry Eden. He seems pretty fair for CNN. He puts out a poll about Democrats' feelings about the Democrat Party. You think the Democrats are going to coast in the midterms? We should all stay home? Really? I think you should look at the data first. I think if we fight our asses off and stop the doom and gloom stuff and get out and vote, I think we've got a pretty damn good chance. I'll show you the video. The numbers, receipts matter. It's not a data point. It's an actual data point. Hey, you may have seen some of the conversations happening online lately. Censorship, folks, it's always sitting around the corner. These big tech companies, liberal governments around the world, you've seen it. The Digital Services Act and other things, efforts to censor us are all around. I see it happening everywhere. I pay really close attention to this stuff. Many platforms are controlling narratives again, deciding what you can see and what you can't see. It's unacceptable. You have got to fight back and take control now. Rumble's the only platform that's consistently stood for free speech over and over and over again. Now, Rumble's taken the fight to the financial world with Rumble Wallet, where you control your money. You, right there. Not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. It's your money and your freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you can tip creators instantly, no fees, no waiting weeks to get paid. You can also buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin, Tether Gold, and now USAT, Tether's brand new US regulated stablecoin. Tether Gold is real gold on the blockchain, actual gold bars you own. USAT keeps your money steady and protected from inflation, all without relying on banks. So let's take control back. Go to wallet.rumble.com. That's wallet.rumble.com, or search Rumble Wallet in your app store. Download it, open your account, and move your money where it belongs, in your hands. Rumble Wallet's a technology provider only, not a custodial service. See terms at wallet.rumble.com. I have one, get one too. Worth your time. Here's the poll I was talking about. And this is why you cannot and should not, under any circumstances, fall prey to doom and gloom and forfeit the midterms. You will see an impeachment. They'll make it up. They'll try to convict him in the Senate on piracy on the open seas or something. Yeah, and that's not a thing. They'll just make it up. Had this conversation with somebody last night, a friend of mine. What are they going to charge him with? It doesn't matter. Don't give up. Here's the actual data point. Check this out.
These numbers are just atrociously awful. A double A for the Democrats here. I mean, just take a look here. Congressional Dems have the right priorities. Look at this. Overall, 74%, nearly 3 in 4 say no. Just 25% overall say yes. You might say, okay, well, at least Dems like Democrats. Not the case. Look at this. The majority of Democrats are independents who lean Democrats. Look at this. 55% say no, congressional Democrats do not have the right priorities. And then you just see a minority, 45% of Democrats say that congressional Democrats have the right priorities.
Folks, here's the problem. Here's the problem for the Democrats. I think I'm pretty good at analyzing the other side. I read their nasty grams all day. I know exactly what they're thinking. The Democrats are afraid of one thing. Donald Trump has receipts and data points, a lot of them. Jobs numbers today, inflation, the unemployment rate. Maduro, war in Iran going very well. Hopefully we can get out in a relatively abbreviated timeline. Crime rate, murder rate, border numbers, they're extraordinary. The Democrats can't run against it. The Democrats just use something simple like the border. Joe Biden, 10, 15 million. Nobody even knows how many people walked into the country over the last 4 years of the Biden administration. You can't run on that. Hey, man, I wish we could go back to a Democrat president. This guy really sucks. We're going to hold him accountable on things like the border. People are going to laugh. Democrats are, a lot of them, they're not stupid. You have to run on something. You can't just run on Donald Trump sucks. They tried this and they lost. They don't have anything. That's why the frustration is building in their own party. You think we're the only party? Because we've got our own issues going on. I understand that. I know. I'm a part of it now. I'm trying to clean this up and get people focused on what matters. That's why we was talking about the Doomers. They have their own problem. That's an extraordinary number. The Democrats have the wrong priorities that this huge number of the Democrats are saying about their own party. Why? Because of clips like this. I love this clip. This may be my favorite. This is Chuck Schumer, Democrat, leader of the Senate on the Democrat side, minority leader. Here's Chuck Schumer on CNN. It's a friendly station to him, okay? It's CNN. They're obviously like activists for the Democrat Party. Chuck Schumer cannot even articulate this DHS shutdown that made you sit in airport lines forever because they couldn't even fund TSA, the Democrats. Why? Because they want to kick you in the balls. That's why. Chuck Schumer can't even articulate on left-leaning CNN what exactly they got out of this shutdown. You expect Democrats to claim a W on this? Okay, well, tell us what you did. He can't even tell CNN what he did, no less the voters. Check this out.
What do you say to those critics who argue that both ICE and Border Patrol are already set with funding millions and millions of dollars because of President Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill that passed months ago? So Democrats just held up this legislation for what? For political posturing? Is that right?
Well, that's not fair at all. We held it up because we wanted, as I mentioned before, to reform ICE and CPB, which are lawless. The American people are totally on our side. I think by 2-1 or close to that, they want it reformed. And that's what we're pushing for. We're not going to fund a lawless ICE and a lawless CPB. And the American people are overwhelmingly on our side on that.
Folks, the stuff they wanted was ridiculous, and they got none of it. The president, Tom Homan, the DHS had already agreed to do these basic things before this even happened. The big stuff they wanted, judicial warrants and all that crazy stuff that make the system totally untenable, they got none of it. Eventually, you have to produce the freaking data point. They don't have anything. Folks, I'm not BSing you. They don't have anything. What are they going to run on? A return to the Biden economy? A return to the Biden appeasement foreign policy? A return to the Biden border numbers? A return to Biden's 9% inflation? I'm not kidding. I'm not being an asshole. What are they going to run on? Tell me. All these successful immigration reforms we got by making you sit in a 4-hour airport line at TSA when they got none of them? Why are we forfeiting the midterms? Listen, there's a lot of commentators in this business. A lot of them are friends. But he's a friend of mine. I'm not knocking him personally. He's entitled to his own opinion. But I heard one of them say yesterday something like, we're going to be completely destroyed in the midterms. Really? Maybe. It haven't happened yet. But I don't understand why we would even say that or plant that seed. Why would we be destroyed? The president's had an amazing year, considering all the variables we were dealing with. The Democrats are pissed off at their own party. If Virginia's gerrymandering, if that doesn't work out, and the Florida redistricting works, we got a damn good shot at holding the House. I'm not doing the doom and gloom, man. I'm not doing it. And by the way, if we lose this birthright citizenship case, I can't say this enough. We are going to be in a world of trouble. I don't like hyperbole because it discredits you over time. But when I say a potentially existential, like extinction level event, have you ever seen the movie Deep Impact? Ellie was having an affair with Ellie, and he's talking on the phone about extinction level event, ELE. If we lose birthright citizenship in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, there are a couple different options. We could win, number one, obviously, but say we don't. The Supreme Court could rule in a limited manner on the EO and not create a de jure constitutional right to citizenship just if you're born here, even if you're here illegally, because your parents are here illegally. If they create that, in essence, case law, folks, it's open season. I say that because you may fairly enough say, well, we got Donald Trump in charge now, so, people aren't necessarily coming here in the numbers they were under Biden anywhere close, so we don't have to worry about the anchor baby issue. Folks, we could lose the presidential in just a few years. And I promise you, if they were to get the House, if they were to get the Senate, and they were to win the presidency, that border, flag it in the chat, will be open again. And you will have people flooding in here knowing they now have a constitutional right illegally to impart citizenship onto their children, even though they're not even here legally. You think their demographic destiny dreams, there we go, flags in the chat. You think their demographic destiny dreams aren't going to come true? The whole obstacle has been removed. Here is Jesse Kelly. Jesse's a friend of mine. Jesse had a guy named Theo Wold on. Theo Wold was explaining this problem. This is a huge problem if we lose this case. Huge problem, even in a limited manner. Check this out.
If they rule against us, and you sound pretty certain they're going to rule against us, have we lost this issue forever? Is this it?
Yeah, I will say, just as a Monday morning quarterback sitting in the cheap seats here and looking at sort of the strategic determinations that the administration made, the Solicitor General said, there are some underlying sort of statutes here that Congress has passed over the years. And the question was put to him is, do you want us to settle this on the statutory grounds or the constitutional grounds? And the Solicitor General's response was essentially, for lay people who aren't lawyers, it was, hey, we want all the chips in the middle of the table. We want a clear and unequivocal answer from you guys about the meaning of the 14th Amendment. And unfortunately, Jesse, what that means then is, the answer they're going to give us, probably negative, means they're going to say for all time and all purposes, the 14th Amendment means this, and it's not what you guys think it means. The answer then is going to become, what do we do about that? And I think the obvious answer for coming out of today's hearing is it's about time for this vast Con Inc. and all the sort of think tanks and the apparatus of the right to get together and really start having meaningful conversations about amending the Constitution.
He's right. There's a good chance, and I'm not dooming, I'm just based on the verbal arguments back and forth, that we may lose this. We can't just lose and go, I give up. It's your country. There's no giving up. That flag behind me matters. That flag doesn't stand for giving up. It never has. From Iwo Jima to everywhere else it's been planted. It doesn't stand for giving up. Okay, if we lose, we may not. But if we do, what's the backup plan? So I'm asking the Republican Party, I'm not an elected official. I'm not. But I'm asking elected officials, and I'm a citizen of the country too, I just have an opinion, to have that backup plan. How are we going to get through a constitutional amendment and fix this problem? Because it is existential. You cannot have the entire world in a potential Democrat presidency in just a few years. The Democrat president, whoever it is, Josh Shapiro or Kamala Harris, will open the border. Interest groups will make sure it happens. They will get everybody on government benefits where there's a massive fraud problem. Everyone will be counted in the census, and we likely will never win a presidential election anytime in the future. Just on sheer garbage replacement theory, demographic destiny stuff that they push. We got to have a backup plan. Now, showing you how phony these people are. You want to see why a lot of Democrats in that Harry Enten poll even hate their own party? Because not even the Democrats can decide what the Democrats stand for. This was the Senate Majority Leader back in 1993. You remember Harry Reid from Nevada? Here's Harry Reid a Democrat, talking about the dangers of birthright citizenship in 1993. You're like, wait. I thought the Democrats were all for like open borders stuff. No, the Democrats do this. They lick their finger. They realize interest groups understood the demographic destiny thing, and they just changed their mind. Like, yeah, now we'll open the border. But this was them arguing against it. It's a couple decades ago. Check this out.
If making it easy to be an illegal alien isn't enough, how about offering a reward for being an illegal immigrant? No sane country would do that, right? Guess again. If you break our laws by entering this country without permission and give birth to a child, we reward that child with U.S. citizenship and guarantee of full access to all public and social services this society provides. And that's a lot of services. Is it any wonder that 2/3 of the babies born at taxpayer expense at county-run hospitals in Los Angeles are born to illegal alien mothers? Just when the American people think nothing can be more absurd than the way we deal, or rather don't deal, with illegal immigration, they discover that we have a political asylum system that would qualify us for Senator Proxmire's Golden Fleece Award 1,000 times over. I don't know why he didn't make this award. He should have.
Hat tip to @MJ Truth Ultra. They did the work on that account, deserve the hat tip on that video. There they are arguing for the exact opposite thing, proving my point about anti-communist theory. If you're tired of hearing it, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't understand it, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. It's the only thing the Democrats stand for. And you really believe the Democrats have principles. There's Harry Reid arguing about all the problems with birthright citizenship. Now the Democrats are all in on birthright citizenship. Clearly, birthright citizenship doesn't matter to the Democrats, correct? The only thing that matters is power. And their path to power is blocked by us, the anti-communists. So whatever they have to do to get us out of the way, including forfeiting their own principles, getting rid of any objection to birthright citizenship because they can flood the border and then use these people in the House of Representatives or the presidency, they'll change their opinion. They don't have principles. They don't have principles at all. Put up that Wall Street Journal article, the one about I was going to use this at the end of the show, but it's perfect right here. This was an op-ed last night in the Journal by a Ben Appel, A-P-P-E-L. You need to read this. The title says, "I'm gay, but that doesn't make me queer." What the hell does this have to do with anti-communist theory? This guy illuminates the point I've been making to you for the last 10 years doing this show, that Republicans are not the solution to all your problems, but the Democrats are your problem all the time because they cause them. They don't believe in anything. They only believe in power. Everything they're telling you they believe in is bullshit. They believe in gay rights, right? Here's a guy who says, "I'm gay, but that doesn't make me queer." He says, seen through this lens, he's talking about critical theory, the idea that knowledge is a construct of power and the white male patriarchy is the container of knowledge. So whatever they tell you, you should question, including like math. He says, seen through this lens, contemporary phenomena that appear baffling begin to make sense. The members of Queers for Palestine know that Hamas would imprison or execute them for their sexuality, but they share a common enemy in Israel and America. Liberal democracy, capitalism, national borders, and Enlightenment notions of truth are the primary enemy. Sexual politics is merely one front in a much broader civilizational struggle. Thank you, Ben Appel. You are 100% correct. They don't care. Gays for Palestine or queers for Palestine, they don't give a damn that they would be thrown off a building in what they call Palestine. They don't care. They want power. They realize they can use this issue to get power, so they'll change their mind in a minute. They just want to take down the infamous white male patriarchy. And by the way, if you're Asian, you can be part of that too. Justin's like, how is that? No, you're considered, if you're even remotely successful, did you know this? Let me coach you on critical theory. Again, that all knowledge is a construct of power. The white males have the power, so you should distrust everything they tell you, including math. That's critical theory. Don't get confused by any of their other bullshit. You mean 2 + 2 = 5? Because a white man told me it equals 4? Yes, that's what I'm telling you. Racist math? Yeah, remember that article we covered a while ago? That's where all this comes from. If you are Asian and you are successful, or Jewish and you're a racial or religious minority in the United States, both of those groups of people are, and you are successful and you don't espouse liberal ideology and vote for them, you're not Asian or Jewish, you're white adjacent. If you're like, Dan, this shit's confusing. Yes, it's confusing because it's stupid. It's the same reason when your infant starts babbling, you can't understand them because it doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. It's like trying to understand your dog when they bark. I don't speak bark. I speak human. I also don't speak critical theory because it's stupid. There's an Asian professor who is white adjacent who told you 3 + 3 = 6. That's definitely not true. You should question that. No, you should just stop being a moron. What else we got today? I got this other video, I know. Just want to see what I want to. Here's another one of my things. Hold it for a second. But the Ox's gourd effect I told you about the other day. I'm going to show you an example of that, too. All these things we try to tell you on the show, the hidden knowledge grift, the nothing is happening grift, the anti-communist theory. I want the Ox's gourd effect. You guys should write these down as like the new Bongino rules, because once you see these phenomena, you can never unsee them. You will be the greatest political analyst of all time if you just learn to see these things. You'll never unsee them, and they're everywhere. I'll show you one of them coming up in a minute, but I want to get this video too, because another reason the Democrats in that Harry Anton poll are pissed off at their own party and are telling everyone, oh man, this is the wrong direction, but they're not excited about the midterms either. Don't give up. Is because of the work done by citizen journalists exposing this massive amount of fraud. The vice president's new task force, Colin McDonald, the FBI, DEA, DHS cracking down on this stuff. The Democrats can't run away from the fact that their big government model is being exposed, their asses out on Twitter every single day with new videos of big government welfare scams. They can't run away from it. The fraud is staggering. Here's a quick segment on Fox about some of these numbers. Chris Rufo pops up in this again, the guy who talked about the unemployment fraud in the tweet before. Check this out.
Manhattan Institute senior fellow Chris Rufo has been investigating widespread fraud in California. In a new report, he found that fraud losses during the Newsom administration totaled at least $180 billion. California Governor Newsom responded to that report, saying it relies on, quote, guesses. Newsom says California has been a leader on combating fraud. Chris Rufo joins us now. Chris, what's your response to Newsom's response?
Yeah, well, Gavin Newsom is definitely becoming associated with the word fraud, but it's not for fighting it, it's for enabling it. And look, even under the most conservative estimates, experts from Harvard, from the Department of Health and Human Services, from LexisNexis Fraud Division have told us that the fraud in California is unprecedented. It represents the largest financial crime in American history.
I stopped it right there for a reason. Thank you, Chris, who's done excellent work on this. How did that end? This is the largest financial crime in American history. Yes, sir. These arrests in California and Minnesota are just the beginning. This task force is now rolling. You've got Colin McDonald in place. You've got the vice president overseeing it. You've got the FBI on it. You've got United States attorneys locked in on it. This is just the beginning. Now tie it into that poll. Folks, if you believe in big government and you're a rank and file, I'm not talking about the liberal lunatics. Let's not chastise an entire group, okay? For a second, let's look at this through the lens of just sensibility. There are working class Democrats out there who don't live politics every day. Some of them are carpenters in a union. They're not bad folks. They just vote different. The blue-collar portion of the Democrat space is shrinking, but it's still there. They can't get elected without those folks. They can't, period. Them losing middle-class, working-class Americans, black, Hispanic, white, Asian, is killing the Democrat Party. Imagine you're a working-class carpenter in a blue state, whatever, New York, where I grew up. And you vote for Democrats who just want to spend more of your money that you earn. It's really hard to get excited to vote for fraud. I don't care who you are. If you're a big government liberal critical theory idiot, the fraud actually helps you pay people off for their votes, so you don't care. But that's not the entire Democrat Party. It's just not. There are people who work for a living who vote Democrat who look at this shit and like, I can't vote for that. This is going to happen every day. Rufo, Higbee, Shirley. There's hundreds of them. Savannah Hernandez. There's others out there. They're out there exposing this stuff all the time. You can't run from it. It is really hard to get excited to vote to have your money stolen, to give to some bum who doesn't want to work, or even worse, some bum who's a thief and stealing it. It's only going to get worse for them. Now, you know the Bongino rules? One of them I told you to look out for. This one is, in case you're looking to the media, which I know my audience isn't doing, but if you're new to the show and you think like the New York Times and the Washington Post are tip of the spear paragons of truth, like at least I can rely on them for the facts. You cannot. They are nothing more than liberal far-left activists, period, full stop. One of the easiest ways to prove it and show your friends how full of shit they are is you've got this, I call it the Ox's gourd effect. I saw it when I was over working back in the Trump administration. If some doomer wanted to suggest something to like basically destroy the Trump administration, they'll say, well, this isn't happening. And the doomer is a right-wing writer or podcaster. The media would have referred to this doomer as like conspiracy theorist John Smith. But the second conspiracy theorist, air quotes, John Smith, attacks someone in the Trump administration, they find that person useful, they will turn and switch the way they talk about that person. They'll be like, respected conservative commentator John Smith said that Donald Trump and his administration suck. You're like, you just called this guy a conspiracy theorist a day ago. I saw this tweet this morning. I'm like, we got to stick this in the show. This is it. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. I promise you. And once you're on the inside, it's worse. Put up that tweet. So this is from a John Conrad with a K. Check it out yourself if you'd like. Verified account. Talking about the same guy effect, right? This is the Ox's gourd effect. Here's the New York Times before Pete Hegseth fired General Randy George in the military. They basically imply that he was this military industrial complex like hobnobber, like bootlicker. Look, here it is right on the screen. It says General George was appointed to a position in 2023 out of has recently pushed to acquire cheap drones and weapons. And he talks about how they're implying like he's like this reflection of this military industrial complex. And then you go to the other one. Here. Oh, here's the other one. It's kind of in reverse. It says General Randy George, the Army Chief of Staff, said with a practiced grin as he hobnobbed with industrial officials last week in front of the hulking green prototype. And then they go back to the other. And then you'll see the minute he gets fired, read it in reverse. You'll see what happens. All of a sudden, like, this guy's their superstar. I don't know this guy, and I mean, thank you for your service. I don't know this guy at all. But now go back to the tweet. Once you see this, you will never unsee this. New York Times before he got fired. Military industrial complex hobnobber. After he fires you. The man who led the Army out of a historic crisis. Once you see it, you will never, ever unsee it. Do we have a Democrat Zen moment? It's Friday. Producer Jim never likes to leave you or the show on Friday without a nice, calming, relaxing moment for the weekend. So you can roll into the weekend knowing your Democrat brothers and sisters always provide the peace and calm you need to enjoy a nice, tranquil, long, good weekend. Here is Producer Jim's Friday Democrat Zen moment of the day.
Your Democrat Zen moment of the day. A peaceful moment to center your mind.
Those camps are death camps. And no one wants to say you killing human beings in those camps or raping them. They doing what Hitler did. So they can shove it up their little tussies and smoke it.
This has been Democrat Zen.
At Ianon Patriot, hat tip on X. What was with the spit, by the way? Did you guys notice that? For those in the chat, that's the first. I don't know. It's weird. Listen, you're on camera live all the time. You got to be careful about these things. But if you're going to do a close up like that, and take that in your little tootsies and whatever the hell she just said, like do swallow or something. I hope that takes you into the weekend with a nice and peaceful, calm day. But hey, listen, seriously, it is Good Friday. I am a Christian, and for the Christians around the world, I am proud to be part of your brotherhood. Just think of those sacrifices, and that's your homework. I'm not the school teacher, but go put in AI. How does crucifixion work? And just reflect on that. Because Sunday is Easter Sunday. He is risen, and it is an amazing day to celebrate. So I love you all. I want to thank you again for everything you've done for me over the past, 2+ months we've been back. It's been just an amazing launch, and I can't thank you enough. Make sure you check out Haley's. Just walked in at noon. Haley Carania, rumble.com/Haley. You can also check out Vince every day. Had a big audience this morning at rumble.com/Vince, even on Good Friday. He's got a great show, 8 a.m. Eastern time. And please download the Rumble app. It is absolutely free. Go to your app store and just give us a follow, The Dan Bongino Show. It's free, or you can just go on the web and go to rumble.com/Bongino. Set up an account. It's free. Join the chat every day with the tens of thousands of folks in the chat. It's a big family here. We love having you. I will see you back live on Monday at 10 a.m.
I'm Haley Carania,
host of Vince,
host of Scrolling with Haley.
You can always catch my show right here
on the Bongino Report.
Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, weekday mornings.
Weekdays at noon. If you miss it, no worries. The show will always be
right here
and anywhere you find podcasts. Thanks for watching.